What is up, sussies? I'm Duvnan, and today we're going to be talking about how I think the mythological god system, or lore, is going to be introduced into Black Clover, and potentially some foreshadowing and moments that have already occurred that involve mythological gods. This theory will be calling back to some concepts that I discussed in a previous theory on my channel, so if you're interested, go check that out as well. It's the Black Clover Mana Origins theory on my channel. Before I get into characters I believe may be mythological gods, or close to being one at least, I need to describe what I believe the process is of becoming one of these gods, and then get into the evidence of that claim. So first off, where do I think the mythological gods would stand in terms of power in the cosmology? Well, I do think there would still be angels and a higher god because of previous theories I've made and how most of the lore ties into the Kabbalah, which it has a lot of archangels and one higher god. With that said, I think the mythological gods would kind of be like the low-ranked devils of the god system. So basically, low-ranking gods, maybe demigods? With all that being said, here's how I believe beings or characters in Black Clover can become demigods themselves. Starting with the character that sparked this theory, BB girl Mereoleona. Recently, Mereoleona has been approaching what characters in the verse are describing as mana, or mana itself. I believe it's this process of reaching the limits of mana that facilitate the transformation into a lesser god or a demigod. And I believe, to line up with a previous theory, that becoming mana is also joining with your soul essence. And this is kind of why it's a limit for a human being, because if you think about it, for a human to become one with their own soul is kind of what death is. Like, you just die, you leave your physical body, you join your spiritual body, whatever, in this type of mythos. However, this idea of joining your soul and dying may not apply for every race, like the dwarves or the elves, or races that we don't even know about yet. I think this would be a fantastic way to explain why Rill has knowledge of things like Valhalla, why many of the characters have, like, Valkyrie transformations, everything's all Norse mythology based. Maybe these beings existed under this system. With that being said, here are some characters that I think we may have already seen that could be this level of being, or almost at it, or close to it. So the first character I think could technically be a lesser god is Dryad. It's my belief that one way to become one of these mythological gods is extended rule of the strong magic area, or strong mana zone, or just like extended residence, because after a certain amount of time, your mana becomes stronger in these zones. I mean, Mereoleona is another perfect example of this. She is strong because she lived in nature for so long. Essentially, Dryad could have been just like a powerful fairy at some point and became like the wizard king of the fairies and just ruled over Elysia long enough to become Dryad, the goddess of Elysia. And I think it's important to note that in this theory, I'm recognizing that I don't think Dryad is the fourth earth spirit, because if we follow the same mythology of salamanders, undines, and sylphs, which was made by some guy, I'm not going to get the history lesson because I don't have it with me right now. But basically, some guy in the past that I'll probably throw a Wikipedia page up for, said that the last one are gnomes. So, good for us. We get to wait and see the big gnome spirit, Gnome Chad. The second character I believe is a perfect example of this is the Witch Queen. She's very obviously one of the most mysterious and most powerful characters we've seen in the series so far, and under what I just stated, I believe she would fit the bill for exposure to a strong magic region, or even rule over a strong magic region for a long period of time. And for all we know, witches could be a race that are unlike humans, that have a completely different soul, like in Soul Eater. Shout out Soul Eater. Now, also with the Witch Queen, and this could apply for Dryad too, we just don't know much about Dryad at all, I do think that skill can play an element in this transformation, or maybe an entire element. Like, I don't think you have to live in a strong magic region, I just think that is one way, because you're constantly absorbing mana, and I think just that constant exposure would sort of, like, naturally inclinate you to being closer to mana. However, the queen is still highly skilled with her blood magic, and I feel like for a special attributed magic like that, if you're going to be the goddess of blood, you might have to be good with your blood magic, maybe better than the average blood fodder. And a final little speculative piece of evidence here is this could also add a additional magnitude to why the Witch Queen would fear Vanessa, because if she knew that witches had the ability to do this transformation, then potentially she knows that Vanessa could just straight up become the goddess of fate and just, like, obliterate her immediately. Now, from here on, there's some more speculative characters that we really haven't even had a chance to see that much of yet, but I feel like just based on how powerful they've been stated to be and, like, the nature of their magics and their forms and stuff, they have to be some level of divinity, in my opinion. So first off would be Pre-Corruption Leaked, and Pre-Corruption Leaked is before he went through the demon transformation. Now, the reason I say Pre-Corruption Leaked is because even in the manga, it's stated that after he despaired, his soul was forever corrupted. Like, he lost power because of his soul corruption, which kind of also matches up with my last theory. Potentially related or unrelated, this despair transformation also made him lose his grimoire. So, Leaked had less mana capability and no grimoire, which is a confirmed nerf by Patri after that demon transformation. Not only that, but him and all of the other elves were just souls in human bodies. So if any of these beings were potentially already like demigods, they wouldn't be able to use those abilities anyways, because it would just completely destroy the body that they were in. The two things I think we can actually look at to determine the power of Pre-Corruption Licked was A, the swords that Asta ended up getting, and B, the like size and coloration of his ancient demon, which was very, very different from the ancient demons in the Spade Kingdom. So the first thing I want to mention is that Lick's swords, which I assume were manifested by his sword magic grimoire, stayed much longer after he had died, because two of them were found in dungeons by Asta, and I believe Licked himself again in that rock dungeon. The only way this could ever be accounted for is if they were not actually originally manifested by Licked himself, which would have to be covered in the story. Maybe they were made by some ancient blacksmith or something, and we could very well get that story in the future. But for now, I'm going with this theory because it's my theory. The second evidence is the size and nature of Lick's demon form. First of all, it had white coloration, and I don't remember the ancient demons in the Spade Kingdom having any white coloration at all. So that could be like a different type of demon potentially. Also, it had the forbidden, I'm just going to call them orbs, behind him. It had like an arc of orbs, 10 orbs to be precise. Now, this could have been because of the magic stones, but I have a feeling it has something to do with the fact that he was an apostle of Sephiroth, because there's 10 apostles of Sephiroth, and also 10 Cliftoff, and they're all linked. So that transformation of an apostle of Sephiroth despairing, I think, may have somehow pulled from like the underworld or the Cliftoff to draw in some new ancient demon magic or something. Now, the next person I think could potentially be another one of these demigod type beings is Noelle's mom, Asie. Somewhere in the manga, it states that Noelle's mom in her prime was stronger than Prime Julius, or at least Aqua Deer Julius. And for the Julius haters out there, let me just summarize why that still means something. I firmly believe that, just as Patri stated, the light magic attribute is the one counter to Julius's time magic. He basically said this himself. In addition to this, Patri literally never caught Julius. He had to expend all of his mana, so Julius literally could not run away anymore, because once you're out of mana, you're not fast anymore in the Black Clover verse. So to me, to be stated to be above a Wizard King level mage of time magic is still a pretty big feat. Both her and Noelle's magic are heavily Norse mythology themed, and like really the only problem with her in this theory would be that they'd have to reveal that Noelle's mom's side has some like mermaid ancestry or something, which I would be totally cool with, because she literally already has a mermaid form and it's fire, so. And my last speculative character is going to be Charmy's dwarf parent, whoever gave her the food magic, because there's a wolf god in her grimoire. Like, I don't care. That wolf spoke to her. I don't think we've seen anybody else's magic speak to them, correct? Like, we've seen saints and we've seen devils, but not the magic attribute itself speaking to its magician. Those are all the people I could think of. I hope you guys agree with this theory. I put a lot of thought into it, and I feel like there's definitely something going on with Mario, Leona, and the Mana thing. I'm just trying to figure out what it is. But with that being said, if you finished the video, please give it a like, subscribe, hit that button, hit them buttons. Follow my TikTok at Duvnan, and I will continue to try and make videos weekly. I love outros. I'm so good at them. I am peak outro Chad.
Love you guys. Just pushed it past 10 minutes. Limit surpassed. GG. Yami solos. Goodbye.